Hello, happy Thursday, April 14. This is George, head of product, Draftbit. This is office hours number 2 this week. We do 2 office hours every week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. I happen to have been the one hosting both of them this week, but usually Rahul and Dave, my amazing coworkers, are hosting the Tuesday one and I host the Thursday one. But for today, it's just us. So yeah, we just try to answer every questions people might have. If you're joining us, ask a question. There's a button at the bottom. Say hi, where you're coming from, like introduce yourself. We're curious to know where our no-code users are coming from. So let us know. And in the absence of question, we do go to our community site, which I'll pop it up here so you guys can all see. Should be able to share my screen here. Give me 1 sec. I only have one monitor today, so I have to juggle a little bit. Did not show up. Did my screen not show up? Where did you go? Screen, window, share. That is odd. It seems to be sharing my screen. Why is that? Let's try again. Community, okay. Share screen. Nope, refuses to share screen. We're running into issues with Sickle, and now we're running into issues with Cradcast sharing screen, and something's odd. Let's see if I can figure. All right, did that do anything? Let's see. I'm gonna refresh my screen. I might lose you guys for a sec. All right, we're back in. Let's see if now I can share it. What is going on, Cradcast? Why is nobody cooperating today? What is going on? I apologize, Ahmet and Mossad. I might have to, bear with me, keep that link on. I might have to restart my browser. I'll be back. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back. Can I now share my screen? Oh, wait. First of all, let me put another tab. Okay, and now let's see if I can share that screen, share that window, share. Okay, well, it worked now. I just had to reload Chrome, I guess. Sorry for that little interruption, but here it is. So I was just saying, unless folks have questions, and you can use the Ask a Question button below to ask your question. Otherwise, we're just going to go to the Ask for Help section of our community website and take question one by one. And with that said, let's get going. Yeah, I'll take them in order. Okay. This one, did someone respond to that? I meant responded. Let me just have a quick look. Delete item from array in shopping cart object. I'm new to React and I'm trying to build a simple e-commerce UX using Draftbit. Welcome, Bertrand. I'm struggling to write a custom function that will allow the user to edit a cart item object. Okay. Oh, it's French. Ooh, I like that. As an intermediate step, I'm trying to write a custom function that will let the user simply delete the cart item with the button displayed on each item of the list of the cart items on the cart preview screen. How would you do this? Or maybe how would you build the edit cart item UX on Draftbit. So I'm trying to understand the question. To allow the user to edit a cart item. So you've put something in your cart and then you want to edit it. I assume you want to edit, like you want to add it, like not add it, remove it, maybe add the change the quantity. I'm going to assume that's what you need to do. Okay. Then intermediate step, I'm trying to type a custom function that will let the user simply delete the cart item with a button display. Okay, so at the very minimum, we want to delete it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, Ahmed says, Ahmed always has good devices. So let's see. When you click the delete button next to each item, you have access to the current list item, which you can pass to the custom function that you write. You have access to the current list item. Yeah, that's correct. Let's break down the steps that are required to be able to delete an item from your shopping cart. You need to be able to uniquely identify the item from within the list. Good. You need to remove it from your list. If your list item has a unique identifying property like product ID, product name, serial number, you can utilize it to filter the item out of the shopping cart. Right. You can then return the new filter shopping cart and you set variable to update your shopping cart variable. Yeah. In case you want to be able to edit in your list, it will work in a similar way. You will need to find your item and update its value. You can make use of the map. Okay. Ahmed is right. That's exactly it. How about we try it? Let's do a little shopping cart. I think it's been a while since I've seen that use case popping up, and I know that you can do it in Draftbit. Theoretically, I haven't done it myself yet, so this is going to be a good use of my time and hopefully your time to try to do it ourselves right now together live. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a list of items. That's going to be your grocery store. And then I'm going to click add, and they're going to show up in a cart. It's going to be separate screen. And then in that cart, I want to be able to, let's start simple, just delete stuff. Remove them, and then go back to the grocery store, add, cart, delete, add, delete, add, delete. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so grocery, and we're gonna have two screens. One is gonna be grocery for your grocery store, and one is, you know what? Let's be very explicit. Shopping cart and grocery store. Okay. So grocery store. I just want a list of items. I'm gonna fake it. I'm gonna use. For those who've been following Draftbit quite a bit, we have that fake backend that lets you like fake data. Like for example, in our case, it would be like products, maybe. So that returns like fake value. Now we have something that one of our great coworker came up with called Interim API. Similar concept. It's a fake backend. It's in beta, so you might not have access to it right now, but feel free to reach out. I'm sure you'll be excited to find like new users. And so that's it. You're gonna let me do a new. I'm gonna create a new workspace. Grocery app. Shopping app. Is it a shopping app or a grocery app? Shopping app. Grocery list. Yeah. So I like to like update names as I think through it a little bit more. So we're gonna have a grocery shop, grocery list, and a shopping cart. And this is gonna be a grocery app. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is a brand new workspace. I'm gonna create an endpoint. It's just gonna be produces. Produces mean what I think it means, right? Produces. We can manufacture. Produce. Yeah. Close enough. Yeah, produce. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't think it means what you think it means. You keep using that word. I don't think. Sorry, no more Princess Bride. Pro. Apologize. I'm a little. I'm missing food and coffee, so my brain is a little distracted. So we're gonna have one for all our produces. Keeps thinking I'm using produces wrong. Am I using? Can you guys tell me? That's what you use for like your veggies and stuff like that, right? Produces, produce. Maybe it's because there's no plural form of that word. You know, so I'm going to click produce. Okay, produce. Fine. So as an ID, and then we're going to give it a name. What's the name of the produce? And the cool thing with entering that service I'm talking about is that you can mimic all kind of like fake data. So the easy stuff like integer, boolean, and all that. But then you can do like phrases. I think maybe word is what we're gonna use. Sentence, paragraph. I'm wondering if is there something that will be even closer to what we need. This is really awesome. I really love this. I think. Oh, wait, sorry. Side note, I was trying to do that. Is that? Oh, it is. Okay, never mind. Can use that for another project. So, company slogan, drag and drop title. Is there something even more specific? No, all right. So I'm going to use Word. This thing. Okay. So I'm going to say it's a word. Okay, I'm going to add that, and we're going to say there's a price. There should be a price in there. Mid price, low price, high price. What are the different? Low price, mid price. Let's do mid price. Okay. So mid price. Okay. Name. So we got a name and a price. And that should be enough because there's no quantity at the grocery store. I'm simplifying a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to create this. Now, this is my endpoint. So we're going to start integrating it into Draftbit. So in Draftbit, to add a new, interesting, how did I call it? Grocery app, right? And it's coming from Intune, just so we know. This is the link of the service. And then we're going to create an endpoint that is one is just for produce. Man, I love doing that stuff. Get many produce. By the way, I wasn't being ironic. I do love doing that stuff. Just connecting services when it works like that in no code is always such a, I don't know, it's something a little magical. Connect all pieces together and you don't have to write any code for the, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm original software engineer, but that would, be, you have to write a little Python script. Make a request and deal with the response and pass the response and deal with pagination and all kind of error stuff. So anyway, this is magical to me. Okay, so we gotta produce. Let's just show it on the page. Let's start. We're gonna do things incrementally. Grocery app. Okay, and now that we've received all that data, we're gonna iterate through all the results. And this is how we do it. This is how you do it. We do it. You do it. Yeah, so that's it. We have a list of product. Those are not real product, but it doesn't matter. Little side note for Dave, who might be watching. I noticed that the other day when I did another live stream. It sounds like there is a default to 5 or 10, which is not bad. It's more like, it's interesting because there's 10 default. And I would have expected maybe, because I know there is the query to limit the results. So I understand if we were using the limit, but I find it odd that by default you return nothing. I understand though, because what if the user is like 500? result. Anyway, just a little side note. I was a little surprised by that the first time I ran into it, and I'm running into it again now. So, okay, so this is the name of the produce. I'm gonna show the name. I'm gonna put a little title at the top. Say what the thing is. So in this case, those are produce. And we're gonna make it a little bit bigger. Make it bold. We're gonna make it big. Okay. I don't really need that static text that says name. Just do this. All right. So that's how essentially a list of product. It's not pretty. I did not style that thing at all, but this is not the point of what we're trying to do here. I'm just going to put a padding mostly for readability more than anything else. Okay, and I want to be able to add a product. So as I'm iterating through that list, I also need a button that's just going to say add to shopping cart. Let me uppercase that. Why not? Shopping cart. All right. Yeah, it's a little ugly, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so when I click add to shopping cart, let me check that. It absolutely is magical. Thank you, Amit. Appreciate that. So when I do click add to shopping cart, what I want to do is take that item and put it into a variable. I can keep track of things. So actually, there's two ways to do it. Either I update a backend. That might be the right way to do it. Either I update a backend. So when I click add, I add it to a backend shopping cart, and I remove it from there as well. Or I save it all in my local state, in my app, and then when I check out, then I send that information. Part of me feels like the best way to do it would be to save it in the backend. That way, if you lose your session and you abandon your cart, it's better. Yeah, let's try the backend option. So in addition to produce, we're also going to have, how do I go back to, here we go. We're also going to have carts. Yeah, and carts is going to be, take an ID, sure. It's going to take a user, which is also going to be an ID. Is there a user ID somewhere that I can use? Because you don't really want should I simplify it? I'm just not going to do it. It's going to be a single user app for now. So I'm not going to worry about like multiple user. So in my cart, which by the way is just going to be cart, then I'm going to have ID and I'm going to have produce, which actually is going to be the ID, the UID. And what else? A quantity. Let's put a quantity in there. I might change that later, but okay. So essentially, it's gonna take a produce and then a quantity. Yeah. And produce should be a link to that produce table. Maybe we'll simplify it even further from now, and we're going to say produce is just right now a word as well. So like later on, we want to connect those two, but maybe for now, I just add a word essentially. All right, let's try that. Okay, so we got to replace. Okay, So here it is. This is my cart view. So as I'm, it should be the same service. I'm not going to add another service, but I'm going to add another endpoint. Add to cart. Add to cart is going to be a post. It's going to be a create. It's going to be a cart. And it's going to go to cart, and the body is going to be something like this. So all I care about really is those two. I'm not even going to care about quantity for now, so I'm going to leave that like at a hard-coded value of 1. But this one is where I'm going to want to say something. So asparagus. Okay, so that should be enough. I don't need this one. I don't need the ID. It's going to be auto-incremented. Okay, and it does to 51. So I can save this. And now produce. What if I call it this one? Get produce. Yeah, say that again. Okay, get produce and add to cart. So now the little add to shopping cart, what that's going to do is it's going to make an API request to a grocery app and add to cart. And the product, that's where it's interesting. So the product, I want to give it the product of that line. So I'm not going to use asparagus, which is the default. I'm going to use the name. By the way, you can rename those. And if you rename those, then the right value shows up here, like produce item. So produce item, and I want to send it specifically just the name. What you will want to do if you were to do things right, which I really should, I guess, is just send it the ID. You know what? It's not that much more complicated, so I'm going to do it right. Produce ID, and it's going to be a number. Okay, so here we go. Produce ID. And that is just a link to the produce table. There we go. So now let me just update this one that I've changed now. Instead of this, it's going to be like this. And instead of asparagus, it's going to be like 50. Okay. That should still work. Save that. Now, by the way, I should be able to like, if I see 51, yeah, all right. So it's quantity of 1 and produce ID 50. So that's a link to the produce table. Okay. So when I add it, now let me refresh that because this is not up to date now that I've made those changes. I don't think this is up to date again. Let me try to do it again. So it's the rest, it's the post. It just says produce. Shouldn't it say produce ID? Oh no, I forgot to change this value. My bad. I changed it here, which is good, but I also won't change the variable name. Okay, test that again, and now it should be reflected in here. Perfect. All right, so now I mean that for each line, what I'm going to send it is to produce ID. Exactly. See, now that makes sense. So let's try it. Let's try it. And I'm going to empty this one because I really don't need a fake card to start with. So I can just destroy, no, not the endpoint, the data. Okay. So now I'm previewing it, and let's say I want to add some Nostrum, and I want to add some Maxim, and I want to add some Enim. All right. So in my backend, I have added quantity of 1 of all those different produce. Okay, sweet. So now I want to show my cart. I now have a like add to shopping cart. By the way, you might want to provide some feedback, like maybe a success message, like you added it to your cart. But anyway, what we want to do is I'm going to show a little tab navigator at the bottom. So I'm going to move to navigate, and I'm going to create a tab navigator. Tab navigator is, if you're familiar with those iOS app or Android app, with a little tab right at the bottom of your screen, just some icons. So we're going to use that to go from the list of produce to the cart, your shopping cart. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put everything in that bottom tab navigator. We're going to, by the way, the default view is going to be the tab navigator. We're not going to show any header. The initial route is going to be to the grocery list. I appreciate now the grocery list might be a little confusing because typically grocery list is just you when you write all the item you need to buy. So this is essentially just the entire shop in our case. Anyway, 2 tabs. The first one is going to be grocery list, and the second one is going to be shopping cart. So now, can we find an icon? We have a lot of icons available. So this is essentially a store, right? That's going to be for the cart, material icon. So we're going to do this store. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And for the shopping cart, material icon, we're going to do the shopping. Okay, so now if I look at the bottom, and if I preview all that, I can see my grocery list and shopping cart, and I can go from one to the other. There is nothing in shopping cart just yet, but we're going to be working on that in a sec. Same thing for my Android. This is my shopping cart. This is my grocery list. Okay, so now for my shopping cart, I want to display that shopping cart. So I might need to create another endpoint that get everything in my cart. So get cart, and it's going to be get many, and it's going to be cart, and essentially it's going to look like that's the one I want. So it's going to be /cart. No header, nothing, and I should return the entire list. So that's what I meant earlier. If I were to do that in real world, you'll probably need to specify which user, like the card of which user you want to display. Right now, I'm assuming I only have one user to simplify everything, but you will typically just do a query just specifically for that user. Or you will probably do an even better job if you have an auth token for the authenticated user, and that's what you use. So it's not, it's not something the user can override. So anyway, that's good enough for now for this demo. So here it is, get cart. So I'm going to do a very similar thing, use fetch to retrieve all the data. I'm going to specify which service to use and which endpoint to use. And then inside that fetch, I'm going to do list to iterate through all these items in my cart. So here it is. And I'm going to display them. I'm going to just show a little name. Actually, that's where it's going to be very interesting because right now I do have access to the product ID, but it's not a very readable thing. Look, I'm even going to do time quantity. Right, so now I have the quantity and the produce ID, and actually I'll put the quantity first. Finding the right special character. Okay, so here we go. But look at that. This is correct in terms of the data. I have one time the produce number 1, one time the produce number 5, and one time the produce number 9. But obviously, I want the name, right? I can't just use 1, 5, and 9. That's not good enough. As a user, I don't know what that reference. So let me make that a little bit better. So how would I go about doing this? Well, for each item now that I have the ID, I need to go and fetch the name. So I'm going to do another endpoint that is to get a specific produce. We're going to get produce name, okay? And it's going to just get one, and it's going to be produce. But the way it works when you only want to get one is you do the / and produce ID. There we go. So like let's try with the 1, 5, for example. Also, we really care about, maybe we can return everything, but we really just care about the name. So here it is. I'm going to save that. That's it. That's how I get a produce name. And then, so every time I'm in that loop, I want to do actually another fetch. This is to get the item, and this is to get the produce name. Yeah, you can rename those things the way you want. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, let me just take this. Okay, this one is the one I want to do same service, but I want to get produce name, and the ID I'm going to pass it is actually going to be the produce ID here. So now inside there I can put it's returning an array, and what I can do is put the actual name as opposed to like the produce name as opposed to produce ID, right? So name, okay, here we go. So it's one time nostrum, one time maxim, one time enim. I don't really need that one anymore, the produce ID, because it's very confusing. And you know what I can do? I can also just put the quantity in this one, or to just refer to the quantity from the previous call, and then do the right factor here. Okay, that way I can just hide that entirely. Here we go. One sec. Here we go. So that's it. That's my shopping cart. One time, whatever. One time maximum. One time minimum. Okay, so I'm going to do this one now. Okay, let's see if it works. I'm gonna why that thing's load. I'm gonna try it on my phone, and I'm gonna demo for you guys what you can do with Expo Go. So we have this app called not our app, but there's an app called Expo Go, and if you scan the QR code, it'll show you what the Draftbit application looks like on your phone in real time. It stays in sync. Let's give it a try. It's loading here. You guys can see my screen when I'm here. It's going to load. It's a little slow today, but it eventually loads. Oh, this is just a welcome screen. Okay. Let's give it a minute. Here we go. So now this is kind of grocery list. I'm going to pick what do I want to eat? The audit. The last one on the screen here, you can see. So I'm going to click add to shopping cart. I did. And now I'm going to navigate to my shopping cart. And here it is. You guys might not say it. Obviously, it's ugly, meaning I didn't do any design. But you can see it's one-time audit. Okay, and I can go back. I'm going to add the quad, whatever that is. Okay, and it shows up in my, I guess I'll do it on the screen too so you guys can see. So I'm adding nostrum. And then shopping cart, here it is. I'm adding inventory, and here it is. So I keep reading my shopping cart. One thing to notice already is that I already have two nostrum. What I'm not doing a good job at yet, because I haven't put that logic in, is when you add the same one, instead of adding a new entry, instead up the quantity of that item. We'll see if we get to that. But for now, the most important thing now, I want to delete them, right? So let's go back to my shopping cart. And for each item, I'm going to have a little button. Remove from cart. Shopping cart. All right, could not be more explicit than that. Now, what is that going to do? Interesting. So that is going to do, I need a new endpoint, right? Because I don't have any delete endpoint. So I want to delete endpoint to remove something from the cart. So I'm going to add the endpoint. I'm going to say remove cart, and it's going to be delete, and it's going to be cart. Okay, it's cart, and I'm going to pass it to not the produce ID now, the card ID, which is not exactly the card ID. It's more like the card item ID, but it doesn't really matter. Let's do with 2. So right now, so we can test properly, the ID 2 is this one. It's 5, right? So if I test it, okay, it worked. If I refresh, that one should be gone. And it is. See, the 5 is gone. Okay, so that worked. I'm going to save that. So now that button, when I click on it, on press, I can run an API request that does use that service, that grocery app we're making, and does remove from cart, and it's a delete. And the ID I want to give it is the item ID. Yeah, exactly. All right. So now let me test that, and I should actually see them go one by one as I'm removing from them. Oh, wait, what happened there? Something odd happened. Try to get frame out of French. Oh, maybe it tried to delete the one that was already deleted. All right, let's give that a try. Let me refresh it. I don't know if that's what happened, but because I tested it when I did the endpoint, I might have messed up with the behavior to sync results. So we'll see. We'll give it another try. Should be fine. Okay, so I'll remove quad and it's gone. Okay, so that's probably what happened earlier. We use React Query under the hood, so that guarantees that when you edit or delete stuff, the whole list stay up to date, so they kind of keep in sync, which is great. But if you were to like mess up with that list somewhere else, which I did when I did the endpoint, because I tested, deleted that number 5. So anyway, then the sync is gone, right? Like you're trying to sync stuff that are not in sync anymore. Anyway, so I can remove audit, name, Nostrum, and I can go back to my shopping list. I can re-add Nostrum. I can even add 3. Here they are at the bottom of my list. I'm going to remove all the Nostrum just to illustrate. Now I have this one inventory. I can go back to my store. I'm going to add audit, go back to my shopping cart. I see the audit. So yeah, that's essentially a very, very minimalist or straightforward grocery list and shopping cart. What else will you need? So next steps will be to like aggregate the quantities. That's one. And then there's a checkout. The checkout will it's almost like a very different process. Checkout, you'll have a button or a link that says checkout, and then you can do it separately. You can even do it on the web, like because you have saved that data. You know what that user wants in terms of produce and how many he wants. So that should be fine. So it's a very different process. I'm wondering, do I have time to kind of aggregate the amounts, the quantities? How would I go about doing it? When I add it, instead of just adding it, I need to. So here's the thing. What I would do, honestly, for that use case is I would do most of that logic on the back end. So I would use a backend like Xano, and I would have the front end just say add an item and not worry about anything else. And then on the back end, I will do the logic of, well, does it exist? If it exists, just add the quantity to 1. If it doesn't exist, create it with a quantity of 1. But I don't think I would, because then you also guarantee that everything is the source of truth in your database. What I wouldn't do necessarily, what I would not necessarily recommend doing is doing it on the client side, because A, it's going to be a little trickier, and B, like if you mess it up or if you lose your connectivity and your session breaks or whatever, then you might end up in a state where you end up adding more than one of the same item in the backend. So that's what I would do. Yeah. And that's honestly, as I'm saying it, I don't know if I have an example here, but it's fairly straightforward to do in Xano. I've done similar things before. Just get the results if it exists. If it doesn't, create it. Otherwise, just add the quantity. So yeah, that'd be my recommended way forward. All right. Well, hopefully that's pretty helpful for a shopping cart. Vider le panier. Empty the cart. Could we do that quick? So there's a button that just remove it all. I don't know if yeah, in the case with this backend, I'm gonna have to do them one by one, so that's not great. Again, I would probably use like a Xano backend or any other kind of backend with a little bit of logic that has a specific call for that, for delete all, and then there you'll remove every single entry. This is not, by the way, the fact that I keep saying like I will use Xano. This is not that this backend I'm using interim is not good. It's more like it's meant to be like a mock backend, right? So I'm not adding a ton of logic to it. So it's a limitation by design. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that'll be it. Let me make a note. Hey Bertrand, I discussed it during today's office hour and demoed a basic push release shopping cart app. I'm hoping it will be helpful to you. I'll share the recording shortly. Okay. Oh, I should have make sure that person got the notification. Bertrand Bazin. Cool. All right. That's it for now for this one. Let's see. This is solve. Oh, Steve. Yeah, Steve has a deep linking issue. I talked to him. We discussed a bit, and I responded here. So, yeah, we've tried to figure out some like rough edges around deep linking the pilot. We have a pilot going on. That's kind of why it's a pilot. It's because we're still figuring some stuff out, but hopefully it's helpful to him. And that's it. Before that, that was our Tuesday's office hour. So everything else I think have been resolved. What about this one? Mohan asks, I display information from fetch, and if user wants to edit any particular item, I navigate them to a specific edit screen. I pass params to allow that screen to do its own fetch, but to be efficient, I would like to pass the already available record, so fetch is not needed. Right. In setting nav parameter, I'm not able to specify param type unless I assign specific data that is of the target type. In the child screen, I use the list to get at the specific parameter of the object, but in choosing data, I don't see nav parameter I'm passing object. I'm forced to set test record, which is a bit tedious, and I would like to set the list data to the nav param. Okay. You like to send the list data to the navigation param. I don't exactly know if I would recommend passing the entire list data. I guess you can do that. I guess you can do that. Yeah, like Dave said, we've made some changes. We're still kind of heavily testing it. I don't want to share too much, but we've made some changes around the ability to put JSON into some variable. So if I may show you quickly what that might look like if I do a Baz screen. And then I think even a list might work, right? So yeah, here I can just say, I can just add some like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to be an array. Number array, yep. Oh, shoot, that's what it should have been. JSON, numbers, okay. And then you can use a number here, and as you map it, then maybe that's not the best example because yeah, I guess you'll show like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that works. Yeah, it's not the best example, and I'm trying not to go too deep into that new feature because I was trying to still address your question. Yeah, so try again. You know what? Let's give that a try. Bar. We're gonna do a little. What's after bar and Baz? So that bar, we're gonna give it a button solid. That's gonna go to my Boo screen. Navigate to Boo, and we're gonna try to pass it a list. Right? I'm gonna pass it that list of number. Yep. I'm gonna try to read that list. First of all, just flat on that screen. So navigation parameter, I'm getting the list. Okay. So we're going to see now if that works. And by the way, yeah, list by default has no value. I could decide to show some value. We go. So now I preview that. I go to bar. Oh yeah, I might have to hide that list for a sec so I can see the button. Okay, cool. So I go to Boo and I passed it the list. So you can pass a list in the navigation parameter. Can you do something fancier and pass it an array? And let's do, actually in your case, you only want to pass it one object, right? So let's see if instead, foo, is not valid JSON. Okay, JSON lint. What I'm trying to do is something like this. Ugh, geez. So this is valid JSON. Good. Save. Okay. So let's see if that works. Now my buzz is gonna, instead of sending the list, I'm gonna send it the object. And then in my Boo screen, what I'm gonna show, instead of showing the list, is the, in case the navigation parameter is still called list, but yeah, but it should show the object now. So, and it might fail if only because I might have to like JSON stringify it, but we'll see. We get a red screen here. Okay, so now I think I know what's going on. From here, I want to here when I get this, instead of just gonna stringify it to make sure it is a string, I'm gonna go back to my paths. All right, so it did work. So you can pass it a list, you can pass it an object. So I'm not sure I understand display information from I pass param to allow the screen to do its own fetch but to be efficient, I would like to pass that already available records of fetches on here. All right, so you can do that. Just do the fetch, pass it the object. I'm not able to specify parent type unless I assign specific data. Oh, so in your case, maybe you were not using a variable. So I guess my answer would be first use a variable, like set that into a variable and pass the variable into the pass data to the navigation param. Otherwise, are you saying that if I do this, that this won't work? Let's see. Yeah, it did not. Wait. About 56. Okay, so it did work. It just didn't refresh the first time. So yeah, I don't know. I was able to pass it here. So admittedly, this is going to be wrong. You can change it, I guess. I think I know what you're getting at. Is that here you can't specify the type without passing it unless I assign specific data to it of the target. Well, at the very least, so first of all, it doesn't really matter. Look, it's an array here, and we actually sent it an object. But you can always like fake it, send it an object. That way, you're expecting the right thing. So I do understand the confusion, I think, but I would say it shouldn't be blocking you at the very least. Let me know if I'm answering your question. And there's another, I'll try to find it. Maybe I can find that quick. We did another office hour where we talk about how to like save the response in a screen variable or a global variable, and then in a separate screen, how we were able to go and fetch the right, not fetch, I can just get it from the variable, so you don't have to do an entire fetch. Let's see, where was that? Where do I see office hours? See if I can find it quick. I usually chapter the thing, but oh, I guess I forgot to chapter this one. Oh, that was Tuesday, so I didn't do it yet. This was Raul and Dave. We did not chapter theirs. Oh, Raul and Dave. Oh, no, it looks like they did. Why doesn't it show up? Oh, no, this is me. It was not this one. Did I not get? Did I not show? No. When did we do it? I'm pretty sure I remember doing something like that, like issue header, custom block. Anyway, I thought we did something like that. Issue value is set upload image size. Yeah, I don't know. If I can't find it, it's okay. We'll give me just one more minute. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So I thought we did a thing where we saved the response of fetching variable, and then detail screen, we were just getting the right information from that variable, but I can't find it. So maybe I dreamt it, or more likely, I think I just can't find it right now. Screen develop fetch, yeah. Anyway, hopefully, I think shopping cart example screen debugging. Okay. Hopefully that's enough for you to get started. I'll make a note and I'll share that with you. Hey, Mohan. Oh, and I gotta go to a meeting right now, so it's gonna be very quick. Hey, Mohan. I talked about your question during 2 days. Office hours. I'll share the recording with you. Recording here shortly. Okay. All right. With that said, thank you all. It was great. We did some cool stuff with that shopping cart. Very excited about that. And we'll see you next Tuesday, I believe. All right. Have a good one.